Good morning, all. I'm getting ready here. To talk to. I wish. Sorry, I'm babbling. So we're going to talk here. If you guys have been watching my posts the last couple days, I supported a company called Damsel in Defense because they provide safety items for women and children, which in this day and age I think is becoming more and more important. They offer different safety devices like personal alarms. They offer mace. I think they're one of the companies that's now offering the bulletproof backpacks. All things that we wish we didn't even have to worry about, right? I did give a disclaimer about the books. So what they also offer that I bought was they offer these books called Heart Defender books. And they're written in a way that they can teach younger children and even older children. They're a little bit above my 5-year-old's understanding, but they're right in range with my 7-year-old's understanding. And they're all about different tricky, uncomfortable, inappropriate situations that they may find themselves in that they may not even realize is inappropriate, and how to deal with that. And they do it in a way that is not at all scary for the children. Sorry, I'm trying to find the right location here. I'm going to bring Logan in a minute because he wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about his experience with the books. But so they talk about a lot of trigger things. They talk about gun violence. They talk about sexual grooming of young children. They talk about sexual abuse within families. They talk about tricky situations that may happen, like in a store. In the one case, a little boy goes to the bathroom. He's 5 years old, and he goes to the bathroom at the store for the first time by himself and runs into a tricky situation. And then what happens is, as soon as the child finds themselves in that situation, the scene sort of freezes. And their heart, because they're feeling uncomfortable, alerts these kids called the Heart Defenders. They're 4 children that come into the scene and talk to the kid that's in the situation about what's happening and why it might be a tricky situation and what they might need to do to make the right choice, to be brave and courageous even though they might be scared, and get themselves out of the situation, and then be able to tell a safe adult to get help they need or to prevent it from happening to somebody else. And the one thing that really touched me about it, if any of you have ever been associated with any of the situations, one of the things they talk about with the children is that when somebody gets you in an uncomfortable situation and forces you or convinces you to do something that doesn't feel right or that you don't want to do, how it kind of leaves a break in your heart, and that you can stitch that break up, but it always remains there as a reminder of what happened. And I know if any of you have ever gone through any of the situations in these books, we all have that. We all have that little heart scar, right? That reminds us of those bad things that happen. And hopefully we've learned to deal with them and move forward, and we've helped our family members do the same. I did give a disclaimer that they are trigger conversations. So I bought 6 of the books. I believe there's 8 or 10. I bought 6 of the ones that I felt were most relevant to right now with the kids, just for expense reasons. And I had pre-read 5 of the 6. I had done it initially just to see what the conversations were going to be like, so that I knew how to approach it with my kids, and wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be scary for them. And it isn't at all. But the last book I did not read through, and it definitely was very close to home for me. And so I found myself crying in the midst of the book. And afterwards, I threw up because it upset me so much. So my disclaimer to you is if you've ever been in a situation with gun violence, sexual abuse, bullying, anything like that is sensitive to you, I really urge you to read these books anyway and teach your children so that they can avoid getting in these situations that you may have experienced or friends and family have experienced. But I do highly recommend that you pre-screen them and pre-read them yourself for your benefit, because when we were done, it brought up a whole nother set of conversations, because then my son was like, Mommy, why are you crying? And I had to delicately talk about that. But what I really wanted to do this morning is you as adults can go and read these books just fine and decide if it's something you want to share with your kids. But I wanted to bring Logan in and kind of talk with him live with you guys about his experience with these books and what he likes, didn't like about the books and stuff. And I don't know, maybe just give you a little insight from my child's point of view to see if it's something you'd be interested in. All the company that we purchased the books from, they donate some proceeds towards other organizations that help teach women and family how to keep themselves safe, body, mind, and soul. So Logan, you want to come in here for a minute? You wait until you see my kiddo here. Come on, can you come in the video? So this is my 7-year-old Logan. He's obviously going skiing this morning. So Logan, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Heart Defender books that we have been reading. Can you tell the people here, do you remember what some of the books were about? Do you remember some of the situations?
There was someone with their friend, and they wanted to shoot guns in the forest. Mm-hmm. And then one of them had we're in a tricky situation.
And so what was the tricky situation? Was the tricky situation that his friend wanted him to play with a gun? Yeah, okay.
And then the Heart Defenders told him, don't do it, and...
Okay, you can come in here too. Okay, so about this then, so with the gun one specifically, since that's the one you brought up and you remember, so was the book scary for you at all? Like, did it scare you to read about it? No, it made it so that it wasn't scary at all. Yeah, I'm going to kind of get out of the video so that you can see. Liam wants to join in too, but okay, hold on. No, so we're talking about something specific right now. So Logan, come back in the video so they can see you. So, so you didn't feel like the book was scary at all. You felt like it talked about it in a way that that wasn't scary for you?
Yeah.
And what did you learn about it? What should you do in a tricky situation?
You should back away and say no, and then go to a trusted adult.
A trusted adult.
And if they don't believe you, go to another adult that might believe.
Because and why sometimes will a trusted adult that you think will believe you, why will they sometimes not believe you?
Because they might feel scared.
Because they might be scared too.
That would happen, like if it was your closest friend or brother.
Right.
They might feel scared that they actually did that.
Yeah. And so you can talk in a moment. I just want Logan to talk for a minute. These people, everybody has stuff to do, so we're just kind of trying to get through it quickly. So Logan, you keep stepping out of the video. Oh. Please pay attention to what you're doing. So when the tricky situation is happening, what happens that the Heart Defenders come to you?
The whole scene freezes.
The whole scene freezes. And what do they tell you about the tricky situation? What do the Heart Defenders teach you?
They teach you,
remember what happens to your heart in a tricky situation if you make the wrong choice?
They teach you that you'll lose a piece of your heart if you do what they're doing.
And what happens if you lose that piece of your heart? Can it heal?
Yes.
But what happens when it heals?
It's a reminder.
Yes, keeps as a reminder for you. Liam, so you're a little bit younger. Liam is 5. So what do you think about these books? Which one stands out to you? What situation do you remember?
I number 1. When he went to a bathroom and he met a stranger and he was going to pick up him to get to a bathroom.
Yeah, so in the one story, a 5-year-old boy goes to the bathroom by himself and a stranger in there says he's going to help him by putting him on his feet and lifting him up to the toilet, right? And that he'll help him with his pants and stuff like that, right? And what did that do? What happened to the boy when all that happened? Did he start to get nervous and scared?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
He froze.
He froze, and then somebody came and talked to him and told him what to do. So what did he do?
He go tell his mommy.
He went and told his mommy after he was done. That was right. So is there anything else that you guys would like to add? Okay, you got to get in there so they can see you.
Just so you know, don't think that when you're in a tricky situation that it'll freeze like in the books, because it won't actually happen.
That's right. That's right. In real life, the scene doesn't freeze, huh? So it's important to learn from these books.
You have a mustache,
Yeah, well, because people are watching and they're listening to what you guys have to say, because a lot of these people have children too that they want to keep out of tricky situations.
Wait, you have a mustache?
No, yeah, because it's sitting there. They can't see it, only we can see it. So Logan, if you cannot see yourself, they cannot see you.
Okay.
So they're all listening because a lot of them have little kids too that they want to make sure they keep safe. So you don't feel like you got scared. Do you feel like you learned something? Do you feel like if you got in a tricky situation, you would recognize it and know what to do? And what's the biggest thing they tell you about a tricky situation? When you get scared and you're not sure what to do and you're afraid, what should you do?
Go to a trusted adult.
Right, but what are they saying? Is even though you're afraid, be brave and be courageous, because not only can you be helping yourself, but you can be helping other children as well, not end up in those tricky situations, right?
Yeah.
Well, any other stories that you want to talk about of the 6 stories we read? No, you're done? Okay, you can go. So, Logan, any other message you'd like to tell everybody? So we know, no, you can stand right there, no. So we know that the scene doesn't really freeze in real life. So it's important to learn these situations in the book so that when we run across them in real life, we know. You can have it back when we're done. So we know what to do, right? Right?
Right.
Okay, come back in the video. Anything else you'd like to say to everybody
No.
about the books? Do you like the books?
Yes.
Yes. Do you feel like you learned something from the books? If they can't see you, if you can't see you, they can't see you.
Yes.
And what do you think what's the thing that you remember most about all of the books? Like what's the message that you remember that you took away from it?
If you
You said you wanted to do this. If you don't want to do it, we can shut it down.
No, but don't keep turning me when I'm not in the screen.
I know, baby, but if you can't see you, they can't see you. And you're talking, so they want to see you talk, not me. Okay, so go ahead. So what's the biggest take-home you've taken from these? What's the message you think you've learned?
Wait. I think I've learned that if you trust a stranger or someone that might be a close friend or family, and they get you in a tricky situation, and you do it, and you do you can lose a piece of your heart.
Yeah, and it stays there forever. And so what should you do in those situations?
You should back away and go tell a trusted adult.
And
Kyle
if you're afraid, should you stay and go through with it, or should you be brave and courageous?
I should be brave and courageous.
And if you go to a trusted adult and they don't listen, what should you do?
Tell another trusted adult.
Another trusted adult. So this is a situation people run into a lot, and you may have run into this. So sometimes, like in one of the books, one of the bad people was a brother. And so when the child told the mother got angry and didn't want to believe it because it was her brother that was being the bad guy. And so we see this in real life a lot, right? Because nobody wants to believe that somebody they love and care about is going to hurt someone else that we all love and care about, but it happens every day. And so the book teaches the children to, if one adult that they trust doesn't listen, to find another adult and until somebody listens. Because the thing that we try to teach our children, and I think these books teach in an underlying sort of way, is you feel it, right? As adults, we've experienced this, but children don't always understand it. When we're in a situation that's uncomfortable or we just want to get away from it, there's a reason why, right? Like our bodies sense that something just isn't right. And so I teach my children all the time, if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Step away and get away and then talk to a trusted adult, whether that be me or a teacher or whoever they feel comfortable talking to them about. So there was one other thing I wanted to say about that, and I can't remember now. Oh, so one of the questions that Logan had, there were actually two questions. He said, well, what if something happened in the neighborhood? I couldn't go tell a teacher, right? Because they don't know anybody in the neighborhood. And I said, no, if that's who you feel comfortable talking to, you go tell a teacher. And then the teacher and you can talk about it and you can figure out who we need to contact to deal with the problem. So that was one. The other thing that he had asked me about was, what if you feel like it's a tricky situation, you tell somebody about it, and it ends up being that it was really a misunderstanding. Now, in my experience, in my 44 years, usually a tricky situation that feels like a tricky situation is a tricky situation.
Actually, that wasn't my question that I asked last night. It was, what if they made you feel comfortable in this tricky situation and then they actually got away with it?
Oh, yeah, that's a whole different scenario, huh? So like they actually get you into the situation. So that in that case, I think you need to go with your gut, and when you're out of the situation, you need to think about what happened and you need to talk to somebody about it, right? So the other question was, so what if you say you were in a tricky situation and it turns out that you really weren't? And most of the time in my 44 years of experience, if something doesn't feel right, it isn't right. And so it should be dealt with. But we've explained that it's always better to bring up a concern in case the concern is real. And so that we can protect ourselves and other people. And it stinks if it is just a misunderstanding, but it's a whole lot worse if we keep it to ourselves and people keep getting hurt when we could prevent it, right? So these are really, really great books. If you have any questions about them, I'd be glad to answer any of them. So feel free to ask here or private message me. Please, boys, I'm still talking. Message me here. I can give you a link to order them. I do not sell them. I just ran across them sort of incidentally, and I found them very, very helpful. And it opened up a lot of conversation between me and my boys about things that maybe we hadn't addressed or maybe we had, but it opened it up in a way that they started giving me information about other situations that I was not aware of, turning out to not be any bad situations, but still it opened up a lot of very open, honest conversation. And with our kids today and all the horrible things that happen with school shootings and all that. I think it's so important that we're communicating with our children and letting them know that they do have power over themselves and what happens to their bodies and their minds and hearts and souls. And so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I just felt like it was really important to share this story because I think it could be very helpful to a lot of people. So I hope you'll look into them. I hope they help your family the way they've helped ours. And you guys have a fabulous Friday, and we'll touch base later. Have a great day.